Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of our Dead Men Tales, our 7th Sea Chronicle. I am the Radnos Harkon. My name is Will. I'll be your storyteller this evening. Last we left off, we got to see a little bit of Freki and May as there was this rather eventful session. We opened up with May trying to find Freki in the city, and she bumped into Beatrice Tandy, who was closing up her little shop for the day. She helped her carry her stuff back to her house, and she had the unfortunate uh, job of relating the death of Malcolm to her, which she took rather difficult. But May also learned that she had been translating some stories of myths and children's fables for him, and that she had drawn out or had started to draw out a map of Castille with where these uh, histories and mythologies kind of came from. And after she was asked to leave to kind of sit in her sadness for a bit, we switched over to see all the kind of spectacle associated with Freki and how he volunteered himself to fight a bear, of all things. And since this was not the first time that a Vestin has done something ridiculous in the city, the pace and speed at which everybody kind of set up this impromptu fair really impressed him. But there were jugglers, there were fire eaters, there were trick animals, things that really were meant for people of all ages. And then Freki met Gigi, a bear that was brought in from Isen and the darkest reaches of the German equivalent here in Thea. And the wrestling match really was something of two titans fighting for dominance. You could really tell that Gigi had been used to fighting, but Freki, being Vestin himself, was not about to give up any ground easily, and we left off with the two of them drinking and nursing the wounds that he had accrued. But on the other side of town, we were going to get to see Angel and his little clandestine uh, maneuvers, maniobras, as we say in Spanish. Hello, sir. Good to see
How's it
you.
going? Good to see you too.
Are you
Man, it
excited?
seems like I miss a session and it gets interesting.
It, you know, it was a very interesting show of how the mechanics work as far as drawn out fights go. But also, Reki almost died.
Frankie almost died.
Reki almost died.
I mean, so not for nothing. When it's my time to go,
You want to go with a
I'm
bear?
definitely finding a bear. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna find a bear. That's definitely how I'm gonna do this because
I mean, Ison bears are completely different than Castilian bears. Um, but yeah, he almost died, so he got to mark off story progress for himself.
oh,
Yeah. And because he had May bet on him, your group now has considered themselves having a wealth of three.
okay.
You, unless you really want to splurge on things, you guys aren't going to have a want for day to day stuff.
Well, that's actually fairly good because I was wondering how long I was gonna be able to play off this vaguely noble thing that I had going on. Um,
I mean, you have jobs waiting for you when you get back to San Agustin. So
yeah, I know. Like, it's 100%. I was just like I said, it was. I've been living literally on borrowed money,
yeah,
uh, and hoping that no one notices that I'm kind of broke. So thankfully,
uh,
it's not like we've been big money balling or anything like that. We've just been
you haven't, you haven't.
normal,
Uh,
normal nonsense, you know.
but as one side of the city prepares for what is to be a kaiju fight of minimal proportions. We get to see you kind of skulking about the other side of the city, where the headhunter that approached you in the church has kind of told you and shown you where to go to meet up. And as you come across this, for lack of a better word, warehouse near the dock district, you see him. He's smoking a cigarette, leaning up against the wall. He's got one foot up, humming, very nonchalant, this guy.
Okay.
But as he sees you come up, he takes a long drag and he flicks the cigarette into a small puddle where you just see it kind of, you hear that hissing of it dissolving, then there's the little gray white tendril of smoke slithering up into the air, becoming nothing. But he smiles, opens his hands wide. My friend, good to see you. Yes, very good, very good. You came. I was worried.
It would be rude of me to not accept your invitation.
This is what I told everybody, that you, above all else, were not the root.
What is it that we're doing tonight?
We are meeting with some others that have been on the fence about joining our cause, and so there are those of us that have brought possible additions to our cause. You are mine. I thank you for being here. He takes you inside. There's a kind of a double knock, a wait, and then a full kind of palm slap on the door, and then two more knocks, and somebody opens the door for him. Inside, you see
I make note of that just so that I can.
Of course. Yeah. Inside, you'll see that there is a simple table. It's kind of makeshift walls have been put up. They don't go all the way up. They kind of go up to about 12 feet, and then there's another 8 feet of open space where you can see the rest of the warehouse from this makeshift kind of foyer or waiting room, like a doctor's waiting room for all intents and purposes. There's a table. There's a young woman sitting there who just has a smile on her face, and there are two masks that she has her hands on top of. One looks to be very angelic, porcelain looking. It has accoutrement of like feathers and pearls, obviously not real pearls, but like little orbs that have been elegantly painted to look like pearls. The feathers might be real. Who's to say? And then the other mask is demonic looking. There are horns. It is a dark, almost glossy, intended to look like obsidian or onyx kind of feel to it. Very jagged edges around the edge of it. And little streaks of red and orange and yellow have been painted into the edges. But the gentleman looks at you. Please, my friend, we do not want people to know who you are in case you don't want to join us. We don't. The people inside are the ones that pull the real strings. I have an eye for people that want to help and that need to help. And we're here to help each other. And your first step is to choose how you want to be helped and how you want to help those amongst you. This is.
If the idea is for people not to know who I am, then I clearly cannot choose the white mask.
Oh.
And so I go ahead and grab the devil mask.
Okay. But he nods. It's like, very good. Very good. Normally we say that if you want to be more of a background character, more of a silent partner, we suggest the angel mask. But you, sir, I knew from the start that you would take the devil mask.
Well,
You don't have the slouch of a nobleman.
Angel gives him like an eye, and he's moderately insulted, but at the same time, he knows that he's not a side character type person anyway.
You're a
So
hero.
he's not sure where to be insulted at. He just knows that he's insulted.
The guy's oblivious. Like he doesn't know that he insulted you, and he probably will never know that he insulted you.
Well, right, because that would also be rude.
Yes. Uh, but he goes, I look forward to seeing you at the Church of El Profeto Sagrado if you come out with renewed vigor for our cause, my friend. And he kind of claps you on the shoulder, shows you the door to enter. And inside, you'll see that there is another set of makeshift walls that create this alley that leads to this bigger room.
Mhm.
And the bigger room is where everybody's kind of gathered. There's only a couple of people there. There's two masculine figures and a feminine figure. A couple of other figures are there that don't have masks, but they're kind of giving off the vibe of guards, of hired swords more than anything. Um, but you can hear the three people as you walk into this larger auditorium of sorts. They stop their chatter and they look immediately in your direction. Um, the feminine figure has a devil mask.
Okay.
Uh, one of the masculine figures has an angel mask, and the other one has a devil mask as well.
Okay.
But they look in your direction, and the female you see tilts her head. Um, you're not sure why, but you can imagine that given how the other masculine figures in the room, as far as the masked gentlemen go, are a little more on the rotund side, you've probably can surmise that you've caught her eye.
Está bien. Uh, is there anything that like resembles like an introduction, or they just look at me and like
They're
nobody
just
says anything?
they're just looking.
Oh, well, far be it from me to be a fop or anything of that nature. I walk into the room and I walk over to the lady who nodded at me. Fine, let's go. Devils will stick together.
Okay. But she nods to you as you approach them. The gentleman uh, suddenly sensing this kind of alpha approaching them, like you'll see them stand up straight, trying to puff out their chests. Um, it's very big symbolism of bravado here. Um,
Angel is the opposite. He is who he is, and so there's no like puffing his chest or anything of that nature. He is, I've told you that the look for him is always Aramis from the Musketeers,
mhm.
Santiago Cabrera.
Yep.
So it's like leather duster with his sword and dagger and a pistol in the other hip, with the mask on, and he just walks up and he says, "Good evening, Senora. It is a pleasure to find another devil amongst all these people."
Oh. I I I am honored that you think so. I simply was given the choice, and I chose what is true to my heart. Uh, and she motions to the other devil. But there's more than just the two of us. And he clears his throat. Yes, yes, of course.
Oh, it would be no fun if there was only two of us.
She nods. The angel mask wearer steps forward. Yes, yes, of course, yes. Everybody's getting along with each other. Uh, you chose the devil mask. Um, I wonder, is it because? And he kind of goes to put the back of his hand against your stomach. Um, Not aggressively. He's just kind of like trying to make a point. But he pats you a couple of times if you let him. You
I
look.
like he gets one pat,
Uh-huh.
and then I move his hand. He's like,
You know, you have the body of someone that could have been in the war, my friend. Did you see any action? Do you carry that sword for show?
yes, yes, and yes.
And you see him take a moment. He takes a step back and then he starts to scratch his head. Um, the woman kind of holds her hand up to her mask, almost like forgetting that she's wearing it, and catches herself, and then looks at her hand and brings it back down. Um, you have a way with words, my friend. We have chosen names for ourselves, so we're not just referring to each other by our masks. I have chosen to call myself Rosalia.
It is a pleasure to meet you, Rosalia. Um, for the sake of names, let's just go with Cuervo.
It's a strong name, and immediately the other devil mask wearer steps forward. I am Dialgo, and this is Pantoro. He puts his hand on the angel mask, gentlemen.
Rosalia, Dialgo, and Pantoro.
Uh, Unlike my friend here, I actually want to be involved in the minutia of what we're doing here. I hear that this is a necessary cause for our people. I myself lost lands to the Montaigne, and I wish to have them back.
And what is it that this cause is doing to get back the land that was lost? Your situation is a tragic one that many of our countrymen understand.
There are dozens of families that I know personally that have lost land to the Montaigne.
It's true.
Some, like me and my own, we are fighting a war on two fronts. I have cousins trying to earn favor in the king's court, and I am finding myself using what little I have left to nudge warriors in the right direction.
Are you trying to take back the land from the Montaigne in violence?
No, no, I don't. I don't have the money for a standing army. I can afford two or three sellswords here and there.
Well, as a sell sword, you let me know when you can afford one, and perhaps we can make something happen.
Oh, are you trading your services, my friend?
A man does what he needs to do to fill his belly and make sure that his bills are paid. Um, Sadly, my father did not grace me with a voice, and so I used my sword.
The woman puts her hand on your shoulder. Um, It appears that not every duelist is a quiet hero like we hear about in the stories.
There is a time for quiet, and there is a time for brashness. And like any duel, it is all about knowing when to advance.
Oh, you must forgive me. I don't know anything about dueling.
After dealing with May for the last several weeks, a demure female is an entirely different situation.
Yeah. I had older brothers that I won't say that they hogged the instruction, but it really opened up avenues for me. I learned to take care of a house. I learned numbers. I learned trivialities compared to what you must have seen. And she puts her hand on your sword hilt.
I put my hand on top of her hand because people grabbing at my sword hilt is not comfortable.
The
Uh,
innuendos alone are worth this scene.
uh, and so I tell her, in the management and protection of a home, there is no such thing as a triviality. But everyone should know how to use a sword. But that is a thing for private instruction if necessary.
Are you offering private instruction, Senor
Oh, yes.
Cuervo?
I would be happy to help. It would assist the costs in any way I can.
Oh, I find myself without money to pay you. We might have to work out a different compensation for you. She gets close.
I'm sure that I am very open to other suggestions.
Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. And as one of the gentlemen that's next to you clears his throat at the proposition that he just witnessed, uh, a couple more unmasked guards come forward. These are actually like dressed in armor, um, very much in the armor of city guards. Like these are guards of the actual city of where are you? Uh,
We were in San Agustin and we have come to
Trying to find it in
uh,
my notes.
Cristobal? No.
Mm, you know,
I
I
don't know.
use italics for
Aldana.
Aldana. Yeah, there there's
That's why
so
I keep
many.
notes.
You know, I make the mistake of putting things that I think are important in italics, and then there's like one paragraph that just has 18 italicized different things. I'm just like, this doesn't help me anymore.
uh, at the risk of sponsorship deals, I strongly suggest Obsidian Portal. It allows you to create your own wiki.
You
It's
know
very
that
good.
it's good, and I appreciate the plug. I plug Scrivener. Scrivener lets me do all of
Okay.
that on just my document.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
I love
I
Scrivener, and I will always vouch for them.
I will have to test them out next.
But yeah, the two of the city guards come in, and following them, you see this figure, imposing. He is large. His mask is uh, half angelic, half devil. Um, and he walks in, and there is another set of guards that come in with like a soapbox, basically, and a kind of erectable podium to kind of let him give a sermon.
Mm.
Uh, and he starts talking about what the order is and how the Inquisidio Aquila is not a group of misguided souls, but rather the people that have seen the right path forward, the people that have the strength to climb the insurmountable odds set before them by the destruction that was wrought by the war. He explains that too many allowances have been made in the name of peace, especially when the Montaigne are concerned that that he sees the truth for what it is, and that the Montaigne began this war to take Castilian land, and in a sense, although they were driven out of Castile, they won. But not all is beyond repair. He mentions that if the people in the room wish to acquiesce, that his group is prepared to test the conviction of any would-be associates that want to join his cause, and that he has 3 tasks available to those that want to participate, and that although he understands how much this is going to ask of everyone involved, that everyone is free to leave, that because of the masks, because of the anonymity, that no one has assigned themselves to the cause, and therefore should not feel terrible about walking away at any point, but that choosing to take up one of these paths will require them to forsake the mask, so that in giving up their anonymity, they've consigned themselves to moving forward. The guy in the angelic mask steps forward, and he takes a moment, looks back at the group, and takes off the mask and shows you that he is a rotund fellow, not just of body, but his face is round and full. He has a small beard of brown hair that has little tufts of white kind of scattered about. He has a white streak just kind of coming up in the middle of his right eyebrow, and just this tuft of hair that is tied back in a kind of leather strap. But he nods to the orator and says, "My fortune is at your disposal, my friend. I knew the risks. I am tired of Montaigne taking and taking and taking, and as long as someone is willing to stand up to them, I will stand with them." He takes his place behind the orator, who shakes his hand and claps him on the shoulder and just kind of has a very joyous shake to him as he welcomes him to the fold.
Angel steps forward. He says, I cannot provide a fortune, but I can provide myself. Too many people have suffered because of this war and the mismanagement of the cardinals after it. And he takes off his mask and he hands it to a guard, like frisbees it at a guard.
The guard, just like the English beefeaters, like he does not move, so it hits him in the belly and then just kind of clatters to the ground, but does
It's
not
okay.
move.
You'll catch it next time.
The two that came in with the order, like they look at it, they look at him, and then they look back at you, and one of them just like, hmm? Yeah.
And I walk over to the orator.
The woman steps forward, and as she does, the other gentleman with the devil mask grabs her hand, and he leans in, and you hear him very softly kind of whispering something to her. And then she wrenches her hand out of his. "I grew up with brothers who were taken from me, sir. if this gentleman, and she points to you, um, has the strength of character to see this through, then I will as well. And she pulls the mask off, and the other gentleman just shakes his head and walks out of the room. Um, one of the guards, one of the city guards that came in with the order, follows him out. But as she takes off the mask and lets it fall where she was standing, um,
No
she
respect for masks.
no respect for these masks, man. So much time and effort went into it. It's a good thing that Junie's not here. She'd get mad at the disrespect of the arts and crafts. Um, but she looks like she is a modestly beautiful woman. There is a scar that kind of starts underneath the edge of one eye and goes up around her nose and stops about midway into her other eye. Um, there is a bit of scarring around her neck. There is the ghost of a black eye that's just barely lingering. It looks like she's led a rough life. But she comes over and she stands next to you. Um, the orator turns, smiles, and he motions, and the guards that were there before all kind of meander out from where he came in from. And the one that stays with him holds out his hand as he pulls off his mask and gently places it into the guard's hands. But this guy, you've never seen him before.
Okay.
But he has a familiarity to him. You know for a fact you've never seen this guy before in your life, but at the same time, this is a face that you've seen in the periphery coming up. This is a face that you've, you know for a fact has been in your sphere of influence somewhere. But
Which is not any better because that means he might know me.
mm-hmm. But he smiles. He has this beautifully maintained and curled mustache, the kind of Van Dyke where it's just the tuft underneath the lip that comes down. Very well cared and oiled hair. Like the moment he takes off the mask and takes off like this orator's cloak to reveal the fine garment underneath him, there is this woof of flowers, of lilacs. This is a man that bathes regularly and takes great care in his appearance and his aura. But he smiles at everybody. I am so glad that out of what we encountered, one of you is the only loss that we have maintained today. This is good for the cause. The Inquisidio welcomes the three of you. You, sir, and he points to the gentleman that had the angelic mask. You may follow the guards down the alley that I came in from. We will let you know how you can best help our two associates here. And he kind of holds out one hand to her, one hand to you. Very welcoming. And it hits you that this is the same kind of aura and general welcomeness that you got from one of your first commanders. This guy makes you feel like you are not just a soldier, but you're part of his entourage. Like you are part of his personal circle. Um, it's not him because he died, but there's the same vibe coming off of him.
Right.
And he looks at the two of you as the gentleman walks away. There are 3 tasks that I have that need uh, completion. I think is the best word for it. You are free to work together if you would like to accomplish one of them. All 3 of them are going to see completion, hopefully, either by the 2 of you and an agent that I have in the field, or by agents that I have to call in. I am hoping that one or more will appeal to your skill set. He looks at her and he very carefully brings his hand up and just kind of hovers over her face, doesn't touch her. And there is a little bit of a wince when he brings his hand up to her face. Excuse me. And you hear him very, very gently and gentlemanly, not chastising her, but cooing her. Very much just like, no, no, listen, there is no pain here anymore. No one is going to hurt you. I will assure this of you. And uh, she nods, but again, he doesn't touch her, but you do see that if he was touching her, he would be kind of massaging the little bit underneath her eye where the ghost of the bruise sits underneath the epidermis. And he turns to look at you. You have the look of a soldier, Tercio. You've seen the war and the ravages that it brings. I ask for you to stomach just a little more as we move forward.
It is the fate of a soldier that war never ends.
Unfortunately, my friend. And he brings his hand back, puts both of them in front of him, one over the other. The 3 tasks I have before you. The first, there is a ship arriving with cargo from Vodace. It is said to have belonged to a scribe that lived during the time of the first prophet. These writings have been kept secret from the masses for some reason. The Inquisition wishes to acquire these writings so they may be distributed to those that wish to see and hear it with their own open minds. Task that is on the simpler side of things. Something should not tax you, either of you, really. The second task I have is that there is a gentleman by the name of Josue Antonio de Sandoval. He is set to close a commercial deal that would open up trade in the southern part of Montaigne. This would be an incredible opportunity for growth in the southern part of the country, but it would give our enemies a foothold to expand further, I think. I would like this deal from not concluding amicably if possible. The details of how this deal is cancelled or brought to an early close without the Montaigne acquiring it means little to me. It is your discretion. The third task I have is there is an agent of the order that has turned against us. A mongrel of a man that has run off to San Agustin and is in the employ of someone that is weakening the strength of our country. The Inquisition would like him stopped and his current trajectory shifted. An agent in the city will have more information for you should you choose to accept this task. But it does require some travel time.
What is the penalty for betraying the order?
If he cannot be reasoned with and his trajectory cannot be shifted, his life is forfeit.
As is the penalty for all deserters.
I'm glad that we are of the same mind.
You require all 3 of these tasks to be completed.
I do not require all 3 to be completed by the 2 of you. That would be a mythological task. We are not testing you to become gods here. We are just testing your loyalty.
Rosalia, I believe that speaking with Josue Antonio is something that I could do. However, I could use your assistance with it, if you do not mind.
Oh, I do not mind at all. And the orator looks at the 2 of you. So you have chosen your task.
How will I find you to let you know when the task has been completed?
When word has come back to me of the deal faltering, an agent will find the 2 of you and bring you to me.
So that you know, normally I live in San Agustin, or have been living in San Agustin.
You chose to deal with Josue. Intriguing.
Perhaps when I am done with Josue, I can take care of the trader when I go home.
Perhaps.
It's nighttime right now, right?
Mhm.
Where's the best place to find this Josue?
The gentleman has a business not too far from here, closer to one of the districts that has been signed over to one of the other groups. Maybe the Eisen, maybe the Vesten, something that is not Castilian. Um, you could start there.
Excellent. Then we will proceed with our task.
One. And he looks at the guard. Marco, um, make sure that you are familiar with their faces, please. He is at your disposal as well. As among the guards of Aldana, Marco here is a sergeant. He will not acknowledge you as being part of the Inquisidio, of course, but um, should you need to get word to me in some fashion, he is your avenue.
Excellent.
And he does kind of step forward. He grabs her chin and just kind of like manhandles her face to get a good look at her, and turns to you when you see him about to bring his hand up to your face. Do the same.
All right, I stop his hand and then pose.
Of course. How mundane of you.
I have dueled people for less.
But he holds his hand up.
But when I saw you mishandle treasures, I can only imagine what you intended to do to me.
Understood. But the order kind of laughs and claps Marco on the shoulder. He goes, "You've gotten a good look, yes, Marco?" And the guard nods. Good, good. I await the word of your task, my friends. I, and as you're about to leave, he holds up his hand. I heard you call her Rosalia. I believe you chose to call yourself Cuervo, yes?
Correct.
Good. We will continue to use these names moving forward then.
Excellent. And what should we call you?
I am a simple servant of the true prophet. You may call me father.
Being Catholic means that I have many fathers. This is acceptable.
Right?
All right. All right. Senorina, it is a little late for us to proceed with any task. Have you had dinner?
I have not.
Perhaps then we can have a business meal. We go together, we eat, and we discuss. Then in the
These
morning,
it's
we begin.
acceptable. Where do you take her once you leave the warehouse?
Uh, so I actually try and find a restaurant in those border areas
Mhm.
that he was talking about. Somewhere where we can grab a quick bite to eat,
Even or odds in your favor?
even in my favor.
10. As you're walking around, you'll see a bit of the fanfare. You'll hear a bit of the fanfare. A couple of colored explosions coming from the Veston area,
Okay.
and there is a group of children, maybe about 10 to 12, that
Okay.
rush over past you. They bump into you. One of them drops a flyer, uh, yells back, "Perdón," and continues rushing towards the hullabaloo. Uh, but there is a hurried drawing of what looks to be a bear holding up a figure of a man and just directions to the Veston area as far as events are concerned. All ages are welcome, but there is to be a bear wrestling again. And she looks down at it. That is incredibly barbaric.
I can only imagine the kind of man that would do such a thing.
Brutes,
Like a silent prayer to Freki. For Freki.
but you take her to a very nice um, tavern. You have dinner. There are rooms available if you would like to stay here.
Yeah. Does she look like she has any means?
If she does, they're well hidden.
Uh, so I ask if there's two rooms.
There are.
Forgive me for being forward, but it may be in our best interest to stay close together tonight so that we can work quickly in the morning.
Hmm. Together, but still far enough away to be separate.
It is the appropriate thing to do.
You are an appropriate man, I see.
Yeah, there are those who would call me gentle.
Hmm. More ladies, I assume.
Men very rarely have the opportunity to see that side of me.
Oh, you don't show it to your male friends?
Ah, those are the ones they get to.
Dude, you're not a regular man, Senor Cuervo.
When one has the freedom to choose what to be, why would you settle for being regular? The only benefit of the war and of having lost so much is that certain weights are no longer upon us.
It sounds quite liberating.
Hopefully this will lead you to your own freedom.
Hopefully.
And tomorrow my intention is to find the business of this Don Antonio de Sandoval and attempt to discern exactly what his trade deal is. I happen to know the roads leading to southern Montaigne rather well,
Oh,
and perhaps he can be convinced that it is too dangerous to be worth his efforts.
do you think that you are a convincing man, Senor Cuervo?
I think that I will prefer to try and do convincing, and then move on to other avenues of approach.
Oh, you have more than one card in your arsenal.
One cannot play chess with only one piece.
This is true.
Do you have any suggestions or information? I am still new to Aldana.
I have some people I can visit and ask questions to help us narrow down where these gentlemen might be residing.
Excellent. Then perhaps we do breakfast, we gather information, meet for lunch, and then go see him if we have found him.
Very well. He takes the key to her room. See you in the morning then, Senor Cuervo. Rest well.
Absolutely. Um, he walks her to her room
Yeah.
and then goes to his room. I hope we have a night with no, terrors or assassination attempts or
You're nowhere
shield
near
popping
May,
from the
so
trees.
yeah, you're nowhere near May, so you are safe.
Okay, all right.
Uh,
The fact that I do have a night with nothing interesting going on really makes me reconsider my current friend circle.
there's a lot less bear wrestling. No werewolves.
Just normal things that Angel knows how to deal with.
Yeah, like what to choose for breakfast.
Right.
Yeah.
And no
Uh,
vegetarians or anything else.
Nothing wild. The morning comes.
Mm.
It is odd. I think this is one of the few nights that you haven't had a startle or spent on a ship in some time. But the evening goes by uneventful, and in the morning you can see that she is already up and sitting at the table, uh, halfway through a plate of food.
With her leave, I join her.
Yeah. I hope you don't mind, Señor Cuervo. I couldn't sleep, so I walked about for a bit and got some air and visited to my associates, get information.
That sort of initiative is always good in any endeavor. Did you find anything of use?
I did, and she reaches into the little pocket that she has in the middle of her apron, and she pulls out a folded piece of paper. Um, and as you open it, you see that there are small spatters of blood kind of shot across it. And hastily written is the address of a business that looks to be an import, uh, not too far away either.
Okay. Excellent. In that case, maybe when we have lunch, it will be a celebratory one.
You don't wish to go after you have breakfast?
Oh, yes. We will eat, and then we will go, and we will see how the day goes. Or perhaps we get some other benefits of this transaction.
Oh,
Um,
that sounds very much like a tease, Señor Cuervo.
so we understand. My name is Ángel Aranda del Cuervo. I
Oh,
am the eldest son of the family that has ruled over El Salto del Cuervo for many years. My family is currently in the capital, dealing with the treacherous land that is the courts.
mm. I wish you the best of luck to you and your family, Señor Cuervo. Uh, my name is actually Elisa de Llanos de Aldana. Rosalia was the name of my mother.
Alisa, what?
Elisa de Llanos de Aldana.
Yeah, thank you. My intention is to approach Josué de Sandoval, Josué Antonio, representing my family, and explain to him that the land that he intends to take his imports through has been primarily abandoned by the Montaigne to bandits,
Mm.
and that if his intention is to trade with that region, he would be better suited to speaking with my brother or father.
It's an interesting angle.
Let's hope that it works. Perhaps then I gain some benefit to my family and for our father.
I am not going to lie to you, Angel. I was already prepared to beat some sense into Senor Sandoval. I find that your angle might be less obtuse.
Oh, don't worry. If he is not willing to listen to reason and money, beatings will continue until he understands who's in command.
The morale improves.
Exactly.
Understood. And she cracks her knuckles. Uh, but the gentleman behind the bar brings you a plate of breakfast, some coffee, and after you scarf it down, the day is yours. Where do you want to go?
Oh, I immediately go to this guy's place because Angel is not. He doesn't like to just sit around when there's something to be done. Like, he's got things to do and he intends to go and do them.
Okay. Yeah, you go over. It is in fact an export business. You can see that he is in the middle of talking to somebody about wanting to uh, transport linens and stuff up to
Linens and
Eisen.
things.
Linens and things. Uh, Bed Bath and Beyond things. Eisen. A And once he finishes, he shakes hands with the gentleman. The other customer leaves, and he comes over, just kind of leaves the paperwork on top of the box of linens. Comes over, Senora, how can I be of service to you this fine day?
So Angel looks around the business for a moment and he says, "This will do. It is a pleasure to meet you. My name is Angel Aranda del Cuervo.
Senor,
I am the eldest son of the Earl del Cuervo.
oh, it is an honor, my friend. How can I humbly be of service to you?
It has recently come to my family's attention that you are intending to do business in the lands that were recently removed from our custody.
Oh, I was not aware that the land uh, was anyone's, especially not a conde de Cuervo. I would have chosen different routes for my avenues.
The most efficient route to get through Castille into southern Montaigne is El Salto.
True.
Um, However, you are working with a Montaigne trading company to make your business in this area.
Is something that is a bit of a devil you know rather than a devil you don't know situation, my friend. I am creating jobs for guards and agents that I can trust to take goods across the border. You know that the Montaigne are at best unhinged and at the worst incredibly wild and untamable.
And they are ruled by different virtues than we are. I am here to speak to you on behalf of my family in the hopes that instead of doing business with those unhinged men ruled by their passions, you'd be willing to do business with one of your own countrymen.
Of course, I would, but how can a countryman of mine acquire a route into Montaigne?
My father is currently sitting at court, speaking with the cardinals and the prince for stewardship of those very roads. If the land itself was no longer ours, at the very least we will guard the passages, step by step until we are once again made whole. And
What
a
progress have
lucrative
you made?
uh, an audience with the prince is not sufficient progress. That is already an insurmountable first step.
Eh, I don't mean any disrespect to you, Senor Cuervo, but you made it sound like you were on the verge of being given back your lands. This seems like you haven't even begun to petition the prince for the land that was given to the Montaigne.
No, no, no. You misunderstood me, sir. We are not on the verge of getting back our lands. We are on the verge of gaining back stewardship over the roads. My land does not help you unless you intend to buy something from me. You need the people who control the roads, no?
That is 8 step, yes.
What is it exactly that you're looking to trade with the Montanes? Or rather, take to them?
By opening passage into montane lands, I open an avenue of trade. I can take whatever they need that we have a surplus of and then bring back the same from their end. I can take requests across the border. I hear that some, not me, of course, but some actually will drink their wine with glee in their hearts. And
The wrong kind of grapes.
Elisa spits when she hears that.
What I am offering you is the same path into Montaigne that they are offering you, as well as protection through the lands that they have neglected and allowed to be overcome with bandits. It sounds to me like you do not need a trading partner or a house for your goods on the other side.
It's correct, but your people can only protect me so long as you are in Castilian territory. Is this not true?
Mm,
Your governorship of the land of the roads ends once we hit the border of Montaigne.
this is correct. But is not your issue crossing the border?
My issue is everything that happens after that border.
I
I've been
understand.
given concessions to give my guards passage, safe passage.
Safe passage, as in they will guard you, safe passage, as in they will not stop you.
One can hope it encompasses both.
Hope is not the way to make a business.
I have not made enemies in Montaigne courts,
It is not
so
the.
I lean towards the benefit of the doubt.
You misunderstand. I am not saying that the Montaigne will betray you.
Hmm.
Just because the border of the map has moved and now says Montaigne does not mean that the bandits or the people of that region respect their rule.
True.
They respect the family that watched over them, in fact, for centuries. Even the Montaignes still respect my family. It was not so long ago that we held treaties with them.
Why then did no one tell me of your land, your cuervo, of the conde that held these roads under his stewardship?
I imagine that is a matter of the Montaigne now wishing to tell you all of the details before the contract is signed. I certainly wouldn't tell you of any competition that might be.
Noted.
But I assume that a man of your business sense already has a map of the roads that you intend to take.
I do. I do, and I have given copies to the Montaigne so that they can approve it. I've given it to some of the prince's advisors so they can approve it as well. The governor
Would
of
you mind if I
Aldana.
saw would you mind if I see these maps?
Oh no, of course. And he goes over to his desk, and you see Elisa follows him very closely.
He's like, now boss? No,
Yeah,
not yet.
she definitely has a look like she's ready to go.
Okay.
Um, like once he started to move towards his desk, uh, you could see her kind of like snap out of wherever she was, but she was definitely not there mentally, and she's kind of like catching up. So she gives you a look like, you want me to fucking punch this guy in the throat right now, but also like, I don't know what the fuck is going on, so you want me to punch this guy in the throat right now?
Not yet.
But he rummages through the one of his bottom drawers and he pulls out a leather parchment that he unfurls, and it is a map of the Castille Montaigne border.
Okay. So when he points it out,
Mhm.
I am going to like look at the route and just be like, did you choose this route or did your Montaigne contacts choose this route?
This is the latest route that everyone has agreed on so far. But this has been a back and forth between the Montaigne and the advisors to the prince, and the map doesn't even show where your family land is.
Okay.
There's like no mention of a homestead. There's no mention of any fortification there.
So I look at him and I say, your map is incomplete. Have you sent surveyors or the prince's advisors never leave the capital?
This is the most up to date map that his cartographers have at their disposal, my friend.
I'm going to roll panache and intimidate
Oh, okay.
to point out to him the dangers along this road.
Okay. Um, so,
Like I'm gonna be like, well, since I was last in this area,
mhm,
I know that a group of bandits have taken place here, farmers who have been displaced. This path here leads you right alongside of a cliff over these mountains.
mhm.
If you have anything wider than a narrow wagon, you can't take enough cargo. You need to go through this path.
I think that's gonna be convince instead of intimidate.
Trying desperately to scare him, which is why I was saying intimidate.
Right, but you're also lying, which is
That
convince.
okay, that's fine.
So I think it's leaning more towards convince. You do still roll 4 dice,
Okay.
but I will say that
Let me see if I got anything here to help me out.
if
Oop, nope, that's not what I meant to do.
um,
How do
all
I?
you need is one raise, one risk, but there will be a complication you have to pay off. Um,
So I'm absolutely going to activate my hubris, the
mm,
relentless, because I probably should have just punched him like 7 sentences ago. But
correct.
that's just not where I'm at. Which means that I will also activate my virtue, so I'm going to be at 3 hero points right now.
Mm.
What does a hero point do again?
Uh,
We don't
good
roll a lot
question.
of dice in this game, so I have not had the opportunity
Yeah.
to learn the rules.
Um, hero points, I remember, are really, really fantastic. Which is why you want to get like the one per session.
Right.
Um, let me see where the hero points are.
Okay, you do it because otherwise, like I have to go and get my book. It's probably not the best way to do that.
Yeah, no, I have it.
But
I have it at hand.
I should put it in my. I have a whole little
Oh,
setup now.
yeah, I have a bookmark for it. A hero point can add one bonus D10 to your roll before a risk is made. Um,
Okay.
a player may spend multiple hero points in this fashion on a single risk. You can add 3 bonus D10s to another hero's roll.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, yeah. You can
Sadly, I'm all
activate.
by myself.
Yeah, you can activate a special ability on your hero sheet. or you can take an action while helpless.
Okay, so I'm actually going to spend 2 hero points.
Okay.
The 2 that I just earned can put me up to 6 dice.
Yeah. So you activate your virtue. You don't activate your hubris. I activate your hubris.
Oh, okay. Well,
But you do start with 1 hero point. So if you're going to use the 2 that you gain for activating your virtue, you're just going to go back to 1.
okay, sounds good.
But now you're rolling
6 dice.
6 dice.
All right, so I've got a 10, a 9, and a 1.
I will use a danger point to make it so you have to score raises on 15s instead of 10s.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to use the 10 and a 5
Okay.
to make 1.
Gotcha.
And then I'm going to use the 9 and the 8 to make another.
Okay. So you've got your raise and you've covered your complication.
And I've got 3 extra dice, a 6, a 3, and a 1.
So not enough to make a raise though.
No.
Okay.
And actually, I'm going to use that 6 instead of the 5 to leave you with lower dice on the other side.
I don't want any of them then.
Fine. That's fine. I didn't want to give them to you.
But
Right, I do this.
he listens to you talk about the bandits and the story, and even Elisa is kind of like,
I'm also drawing on the map, like with his quill, like, oh no, this river is here, and like here is where my home is, and this is all farmland. And as a matter of fact, this makes the best paella in the mountains. If you want, like, no. You need an insider's point of view.
yeah, like even she is like impressed by your telling of the story. And he just kind of like looks at the map as you're drawing on it, and just worry starts to furrow on his brow. And he goes, I see that I allowed myself to be led by the princess advisors, and given the state of what the country is in right now, I should have done what you have proposed, my friend, to speak to someone that was there, that lived there. I'm glad that you have brought this to my attention.
The problem with the way that the princess advisors handle things is that they are courtiers, given titles. They are far away. They barely listen to the people who know things and make decisions on their own. In any business venture, especially one that takes you so far from home, it is always best to have assistance of the locals. Based on your map and route, I do not imagine that the Montaigne that you are working with are locals to the south of the border either.
This is true.
But, as I said, this is a business that could be beneficial to you as well as my family.
Have your father draw up a contract of intention. I'll take it to my barrister friend to look over.
Excellent. In the meantime, avoid making deals with Montaigne.
Oh,
It is not in your best interest.
no, you have shown me the error of my ways. And you see him pull out another kind of rolled up, fancy looking parchment, and he tears it up.
I hold my hand out. I shake his hand.
And he shakes it.
I say, in addition to any benefits that my family may have for you as far as the roads themselves, we also have a not unsubstantial amount of men at arms. So I'll make sure that my father includes that in any notion of intent.
Excellent.
And I motion to Elisa for us to walk out.
Okay. The moment you bring your hand up to her, like her hand comes up cocked, and as you sweep towards the door, her hand slowly goes back down.
She's gonna be friends with Freki.
but she follows you out.
The bear may not have gotten him, but Elisa might.
At least it might. He's whitey.
The best thing you can say about our offensive weapon is that he's wiry.
100%.
All right. So we head out.
Yep.
And
As you're walking, she just looks at you. There, I have to tell you, Cuervo, that your patience is equivalent to a saint. There were several times where I just didn't know how not to reach across the table and just bash his head down against it to make him stop talking.
I will guarantee you that Don Josue Antonio has never seen even a duelist school, much less than an actual battle. He is the type of soft man that is ruining the country.
On this we agree.
But his money is for the benefit of all, or those who can take advantage of it.
As you are walking along with her past the main avenue that leads to the docks and to the city's heart, you suddenly hear a loud booming voice call out your name, and you will see Freki and May coming towards you, and this is where we will leave off for tonight.
Excellent.
So you got a little bit of clandestine shenanigans on your own. We got to see what was happening while Freki fought a bear. And you just stopped trade from happening with Montaigne.
That's good because fuck them fish.
As always, thank you for being a part of this. I enjoy the fact that I can do a one-on-one to kind of show a different side of the system. But I also want to thank the audience for joining us. We couldn't do this without you. As always, we do Vampire the Masquerade on Mondays. It is a two-part story. It's a two-part chronicle. There's a chapter for an Anarch storyline, and there's a chapter for a Camarilla storyline. Tuesdays are for Legend of the Five Rings and Werewolf of the Wild West. Every other Thursday right now is 7C. We are on break at McStabber Studios for our Vampire the Dark Ages, but that's on Wednesday nights. And this weekend, you can catch me on Dork Tales, as I will be helping out with their Extra Life weekend fundraising events. So I'll be a player in a couple of games, and I'll be running a special Kids on Bike one-shot, which I highly recommend you check out. And if you have the extra money, think about kind of donating to Extra Life. It's a great foundation. And speaking of help, we take mental health on the channel very seriously. If you feel like you need help and you're watching live, there are phone numbers going up in our Twitch chat. They'll be in the description box if you're watching on YouTube. But just know that it is okay to not be okay, and that there are resources out there to help you deal with your situation. And there are people out there who want to help you. If you're not in the United States, there is a link going up as well. That'll be in the description box. It also has resources in the United States, but it's very wide. It's a robust website. Highly recommend it. In case the phone numbers are not enough, or you feel like you need something more substantive. Just check in on yourself, check in on your friends and family. If you're a friend or family member or somebody that is a strong or happy-go-lucky personality, check in on them. You never know how far a simple hello or how are you text can change the trajectory of somebody's life. So please take care of yourselves, take care of each other. Remember to register to vote. Voting is going to be and is a huge right that we have as citizens here in the United States. If you're in the United States, there's a lot of fuckery going on in different states. So please check your registration status and make sure that you are registered to vote, because we are the ones that have a say in how our country is governed. So please, as always, be safe, take care of yourselves, and we will see you when we see you. Have a good night, guys. Bye.
Bye.